in all reality, the alignment phase being what it is, like I mentioned, it is the most important part of the sales call. It's something that will frame. We talked about framing. I think we had an hour-long session about framing, so I'm sure you guys should know what framing is. But alignment phase is the frame. It's the foundation that you build your entire call on, because this is where 99.9 point, not even like 99.8% of objections appear, right? Like that 0.02% is just because sometimes, there are people that don't have any objections, which never happens. Because every call you'll take, there's going to be some belief, some objection. There's going to be something in someone's way that's going to stop them from making a decision on the call. Because if we really break it down, if we really boil it down to, guys, what is an objection?
Fancy way of saying no.
Okay. Anyone else?
A reason why not. I guess fancy way of no. Yeah, fair enough.
Let's think a little deeper, guys. What is an objection?
Is it just something that people are saying in order to delay their actual decision making?
Okay, but what is that thing that they're saying?
A fear?
A what, sorry?
A fear?
A fear. Okay, we're getting closer. Juliana always clutches up in these moments. Always. She's always on the ball.
I'm prone to thinking.
Okay.
I'm
An objection. Okay, there you go. Who said that? Who said that?
Me.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Okay. So listen, guys, objections are beliefs. Okay. Beliefs aren't stalling. Beliefs aren't like things. Like, it's not something tangible. It's not like matter. It's not like something you can grab, right? So objections are beliefs. And what are beliefs? Beliefs are things, ideas, methodologies, frameworks, religion. Beliefs are something that has been formed through an experience, which leads them to act a certain way. I guess that's my best way of explaining. If you search up what a belief means, I'm sure the definition is a lot different on Google. But I barely passed high school, okay? So I'm not that intelligent, okay? But listen, we are going to be talking about why we have to understand beliefs, because if you understand what beliefs are, after this call, you guys will close more deals. Because the reason why someone's on the call isn't because they aren't successful. It even isn't because, and so this will surprise you guys, it isn't even because they're not the person they need to be to become successful, which is something I always say. I always do identity frame. I always use an identity frame, but it's not even that either. It's not even identity. It's a belief that holds them back because that belief has been formed through an experience, which in turn has led them to make the decisions in their life, good or bad, but inherently, the decisions they made in their life have got them to a point to where they are now on a call with you, which means they either have to change their belief system and operate under a new rule, a new law, a new framework in order to become the person to be successful. Does that make sense? That's the main thing, okay? Because before we even talk about the word tracks, before we even talk about alignment phase and cool word tracks to use, guys, that's all it is, right? It's a belief system, and in the alignment phase, all we're doing is exposing their beliefs. They're showing us their scars, and then what we do is what we call an inception, which I'll talk about. Don't worry about knowing what an inception is right now. I'll explain it. But what we do is we reveal their scars, and then we do an inception that basically says, can you see how these scars have led you to where you are now? What happens if we keep allowing these scars to determine where you want to go? What happens? And they're going to say, oh, nothing will happen. Got it. So what happens if we just stop here and we let these scars stop you from investing into your skill set and scaling your company or scaling your med spa or getting a better agent, whatever. And they're going to say, if it stops me, then I'm not going to grow. So last question, how committed are you to becoming the person, identity frame? How committed are you to becoming the person, no matter how difficult it is, because I get it, it's very hard, but how committed are you to at least trying or becoming that person who doesn't let those scars define them, invests in themselves, and becomes a person to become successful? And they're always going to say, I'm committed. And when you do, that's it. Like, you're done. But how do we actually identify those scars? Okay, so does that make sense, guys? Was that gibberish, or did that actually make sense?
No, that actually makes sense.
Okay, why does it make sense, Christian?
Bro, because without that, you're not even able to essentially build enough of a gap. Once you build the gap, you need to understand that if they're not committed in their head, in their mind, in their own opinion, to be able to become who they need to become despite the limitations, it's literally, it'll be like those same things will come up at the end and you can try to handle it, but it's much harder to try to change their mindset all the way at the end versus like in the beginning where there's rapport, there's trust.
I agree. Good job, man. And do you guys agree? Are we all on the same page with beliefs? Does everybody? And if someone doesn't understand what a belief is, we're gonna stop the lesson and just make sure we know what that is. Because it took me a while to actually understand beliefs. So I just want to make sure before I move on, we're all clear. Like, beliefs. Does someone need me to say it again?
No, that makes sense.
Okay, Amy, what's a belief?
Belief is something like when somebody says, I'm not sure if it's worth it yet, or I don't feel confident in this yet. It's basically like they're just unsure. So how do we bring that back and show them, like exactly what you just said? If we continue in this path and this pattern, you're going to continue in your belief.
Right. But more importantly, their experiences is what led them to believe that in the first place.
Yep.
Perfect. So, Amy, what is a belief? One more time.
Basically, a belief is an objection.
Okay. All right, guys, listen. A belief is a thing that has been formed through an experience. Okay? Remember that. That's all it is. A belief is something. A belief is a non-tangible thing that is formed through an experience, which causes someone to adopt a way of thinking due to that experience. Meaning, what? I'll give you an example. I hear all the time I don't know why, but in real estate, a lot of real estate people. So for example, like when I was selling real estate coaching, when I ask somebody to pay this on their credit card, they're like, oh, I don't believe in credit. I don't use credit. I don't like using my credit card. I don't like debt. Interesting. So I have a belief now, and I want to understand the experience and try to incept their way of thinking to show them that way of thinking hasn't served them. And then once I do that, and then they understand if they keep on having this way of thinking, it's not going to help them become successful. And if I ask them, what happens if we don't allow you to use your debt? What's going to happen then? You're going to fail. So how committed are you to becoming the person? Now, how I find that experience is very simple. Hey, why don't you believe in credit? Oh, because my parents got in a lot of debt and now I have to pay their debt. And now, okay. Completely understand. Can I ask you a question? Yeah. Do you feel like debt can be used in a good way? Like leveraging, like buying property, like going to the bank and getting a mortgage, like getting a loan and starting a business? Do you feel like debt is a tool, or is it always a liability? Oh, it's a tool. Okay. And then you can do the inception. Like, what happens if, so we have to understand that belief. And then again, if someone's saying you think about it, or I always make decisions this way. I can never make decisions on one call. I always sleep on it. Interesting. I know. I can tell, right? I know that. Don't worry. Oh, curious. Why is that? Oh, because one time I made a decision that was super fast and I got burned. Okay. Do you feel like quick decisions often always lead to bad ones? No? Okay, perfect. If they say yes, and I'm like, okay, we got to work on something, man. Because that's just like that's just a you problem. Like, I make decisions every single day. Do you think Elon Musk wakes up tomorrow thinking about the decisions he has to make yesterday, or does he have to make 27 new decisions every hour? The latter. Why? Because he has to make decisions. So why do you feel like, are you a human? Is Elon Musk a human? Does Elon Musk shit? Does Elon Musk eat? Does Elon Musk sleep? Okay, so why do you think he makes decisions fast? Oh, because so then you're just coaching them through decision making, and then just to inset their thoughts on their fact that they never make decisions. Gotcha. So, man, can I ask you a question? Can you see how this way of thinking, where you've made decisions slow, always, never making them fast, not based off of logic and data, has put you in a position today where the decisions you've made up into your life has led you exactly to this call? Struggling to scale your commission, struggling to make money. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. And then you do Inception, right? So easy, right? That Inception piece took me 2 years to learn, right? And I'm going to teach you guys Inception today, and I'm going to teach you guys how to break down the beliefs and how to get them to incept the way of thinking. Okay, so that's like the preface. That's the introduction to this lesson. Okay, so before we jump in, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you guys like that when like I do some prefacing, like some groundwork before we dive in the word traps?
Yeah.
Seems like a good idea to frame the call before starting it.
Exactly. It's just like an objection, right? So it's perfect. Okay, so everybody should have their Notion out, and we're going to go through it together. Okay, class, everybody pull out your textbooks. All right, we're going to pull up the Notion. I'm going to send it to you guys one more time in case you don't have it. This is going to be Dermis's script, but it's literally like you can just use the same one and just reword instead of med spa, use real estate. Okay, guys, it's very simple. But if you want me to do a custom script for you, hit me up and I'll make one for you for your offer. Because Juliana asked very nicely, so I had to do it for her. All right. So everybody, can you see that? Okay, everybody open that up. Even if you're a setter, because like realistically speaking, if my setters send me a call or send me a prospect with a bunch of objections that haven't been closed, put it this way, guys. This is also for setters too. Okay, this is very important for setters and very important for closers to know this too. When you go to a hospital and you broke your arm and your bone is out, do you go straight to the operating room? What do you usually do?
See the nurse.
Okay. And what does the nurse do?
Gets the boo-boo.
Preps
Well,
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're smart, you would hire an injury lawyer like Amy Fleming. But besides the fact, what you would do is the nurse would see you first. They would prep you. They would handle your objections. They would make sure you're sedated with the medication. They'd make sure that you're in a gown. They prep you. And then you get sent to the operating table in a gown without your clothes, and your clothes are in a basket, and then you're asleep, right? You guys are the doctors that are operating on the operating table. A surgeon isn't going to take a person from the hallway and then start operating on them. It doesn't work. How would that make any sense? The hospital wouldn't be efficient, right? Because if the person's not ready to be operated on, why are they on the operating table? Imagine, I'm not gonna use that example. It's fucking hilarious. But the point is that if you are going to go on a call, just make sure that the nurse has already prepped the patient, and handling objections before the call is a good way to do it, right? Because imagine if I'm speaking to somebody who doesn't believe in coaching and they said that to the setter, and the setter's cool, speak to Daniel and he'll help you out. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense, right? I want to speak to somebody who is ready for me to understand where they are now, where they need to go, create that gap with my alignment phase questioning, and then prepare. sorry, and then do surgery, which is the pitch and the close, right? So that's it. But yeah. So for setters, it's super important. It's not on your script, but it's important to know these things because it is pretty damn helpful. So we're going to cover this right now. Again, this is Dermis, their logo. I need to know who designed their logo because honestly, like it's sick. I wanna get a logo like that. Okay. So closing framework. Let's open this up. We're going to go down to, so we've already done all this already. We're going to go to alignment phase. All right. So alignment phase is get them to understand that their current path and the way of thinking can't continue anymore because it's led them to where they are today. Does that make sense? Everyone nod your head. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So how you start the conversation, who wants to be my role play person?
Me.
All right, so I'll do a real estate offer. And look, this script, guys, has every freaking nuance that you can use. So if you're not using this, then I don't know what to tell you, man. So there's everything in here. I don't like paying for information. I can't trust people online. Whatever. If they're brand new, if it's an excuse. There's a bunch of reframes here. Time, if they say time, if they say money, if it's a business owner who's like more sharp, then I use a different type of time. If it's money, right? So we're not going to go through all of this on one call because that'd be insane. That'd be literally a 3-hour call. But the most important thing is that we go through this and then you guys understand the pathway to get to these beliefs. Does that make sense? These are the beliefs. This is the things that you do to understand the belief. And then this is the inception that I keep on raving about. Does that make sense before we start?
Yep.
Okay, so Christian, you're going to give me, for simplicity's sake, we're going to do 2 examples. You're going to say, oh, money prevented me. Because money and time are basically the same thing. It's just like time and money are reversed. And then the second role play, I'm going to have Juliana, or whoever wants to do it after. Or actually, I'm going to have Angie do it. Angie's going to be doing another one where she's going to be giving me a bunch of excuses. Like money, time, oh, like this, my uncle said that. Just some random stuff, like random excuses. And I'm going to use a very simple, very easy reframe that just brings people down to earth. Because all these other things are not really common. This one's pretty common, but it honestly ties back down to time and money, always. It's usually time and money. Like the reason why someone hasn't invested in themselves is usually because they don't think they have the time, or they don't think they have the money, or they're just like, I don't believe in coaching, or they're just like, oh, I've already invested, and it was either a good experience and a bad experience, and you can figure that out as you go. But we're not going to go through all this. These are very meticulous, very specific. Yeah, no sales call is the same. So it'll be very unfair for me to try to like show you guys each thing because it's just, that's insane. I would not expect anyone to do that. So we're going to do time. Sorry, we're going to do money with Christian, and then we're going to do a second round with Angie. So Christian, you ready?
Sir.
Okay. No, yeah, that's perfect. That's perfectly cool, man. And I guess, and that's why a lot of people come to us in the first place. We've been coaching for a while now. Now, is this like the first program you're really looking to invest into?
Yeah, I would say so.
First time?
Yeah, I've never really looked into coaching platforms in the past. There's a lot of coaching out there. I just saw the Instagram ad. I saw Alexis and the way he handles objections, and I was like, you know what? Let's check it out.
We're popping the coaching cherry. I love it. I love it, man. Like, what other advanced solutions? I'm sorry. What other? My bad. This is men's spa. What other advanced like programs or other things that you've done outside of maybe just YouTube, Instagram, and books, like all that sort of stuff?
I would say my brokerage trainings, they're pretty good, but they really aren't like sales specific to like cold calling and handling objections. It's more like contracts and stuff.
Like we discussed earlier. So I guess just curious, man. Again, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I guess at this point in your career, being that you've been a realtor now for 6 months and you've been struggling with the same problem, like what really prevented you from getting into a program and getting to the next level?
That's a good question. That's it.
The money?
Yeah, the coaching, assuming it's nothing cheap, but
Yeah. You know why I'm smiling?
why?
Because it's funny when we talk about money preventing us, because ultimately, what are you looking to get these skills for?
Oh, sell more homes.
More money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, you can tell me if I'm completely wrong here, but is it fair to say that we don't have the money because we don't have the necessary skills?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So there's always going to be like two types of people, right? The people who say, I can't, so I won't. And the people who say, how can I find the money to make it happen? Who gets to their goals faster?
The second person.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking obvious, right? I'm just trying to challenge your way of thinking. That's what you're here on the call for. So with how important this is, man, like what prevented you from getting resourceful so that you can get to 20K a month in commissions, like you said earlier?
I mean, I don't feel like anything prevented me from getting resourceful. I guess it's just,
So we're
I don't know. This is my first time doing something like this. I never really invested thousands of dollars into anything. So,
right, totally get that, bro. And you said that you've been doing this for 6 months, right?
yeah.
So I guess in the last 6 months, have you noticed like other people who also started like 6 months ago, just as you, doing something different to grow faster and get more results?
Yeah, they're out there for sure. I know a couple of people in the brokerage. Yeah.
And do you feel like they're any different from you?
Nah, definitely not.
All right, bro. Do you feel like they were probably at the same financial position as you? Maybe not the same, but do you feel like they probably had a lack of money, which is why they wanted to become a realtor?
I'd definitely say so.
So I guess what prevented them from getting resourceful and acquiring the right tools to get the support, building a better system, instead of just sticking with Keller Williams training?
I don't know, man. That's a good question. That's why I'm in this call to figure that out. But I guess it's them. This is their way of seeing things.
Right. Yeah, I totally hear this all the time. So again, and because again, I just want to make sure that we're very clear. Because again, I'm not trying to like trap you in a corner or try to hurt your feelings, but I run into this all the time, right? There's always going to be different types of realtors approach these kind of things. Oftentimes, it comes from a lack of self-awareness, just to be very straight up with you. Lack of knowing how to get resourceful, or maybe it's just they've been pushing it off for 6 months and they haven't done anything about it until they saw an ad. So I guess for you, Christian, again, like we don't have to go this far, but this is genuinely going to help us understand where to take you and how we're going to help you scale, because ultimately you're here for accountability, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Dude, just be real with me. What was the excuse behind you not making the money or finding the money to get to the program you wanted to get to? Was it just like you were just pushing it off and it wasn't a priority? Just be real. Just be real with me, man. You don't gotta lie.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, man. It's just I've been pushing it off. I just don't feel like I have the money to do it right now. I have a lot of bills coming up. I had to pay my NAR dues like a week ago, and I have no listings. How can I pay for a coaching platform with no listings? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's my way
So
of.
pause, role play. So you guys see what I did? Like I could have honestly went from money to inception right away, but he didn't really give me like a belief or like an excuse. He just said, "Oh, I don't know." Oh yeah, of course, lack of money, whatever. Yeah, but I had to get in the bag and be like, "Okay, bro, what stopped you from getting resourceful? Just be real, bro. Let's be honest. Was it just because you were lazy? Yeah, okay. Or was it because you just thought you didn't have money? Yes, that's what he said. So does that make sense? Before I go into inception, did everybody witness how I was being super, like I was trying to get to the root, like I didn't stop?
Yeah, you had to ask that same question twice.
Yeah, and I wasn't gonna ask the same question the third time. I was just super direct with you. I was like, bro, come on, like, give me something to work with here.
Yeah.
Because if I have to keep asking the same question to get a different answer, that's the definition of insanity, right? If you're not getting the result, just be direct. Christian, why didn't you find the money, bro? Just be honest. Like, you can just say you were just lazy, man. It's okay. I was there too. And they'll literally tell you, yeah, man, it wasn't really a priority. And you just said that, and then you were also like, oh, like I didn't know how to get the money. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know. Like I just have so much bills I have to pay. So here's how I accept that way of thinking, a scarcity mindset. Because that's a scarcity mindset.
Right.
And I
Bills
could
coming
honestly, yeah, and
Mhm.
I could honestly just ask you right up front, right here, before I could accept you with what you've given me. I can show you. But if I really want to take it a level further, I can be like, okay, Christian, can I just ask you a question, dude?
Yeah, go for it.
Maybe it's not that you were lazy. That's not what I'm saying. Because nobody is lazy if they actually try to do something. Because you're actually here trying, which is great. But do you feel like this feeling of I gotta pay this, I gotta pay that, I didn't know I had money, I didn't know I had that, I had bills due. Do you feel like that's has to do with maybe having a limited mindset, like scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset?
I never really seen it that way, but yeah.
Yeah, dude. Now, I can go right into it if I want. But if you gave me more pushback, I would have been like, dude, do you feel like Elon Musk worries about the billions of debt that he has with all these investors that he has to pay back? Or do you feel like he just acts based off of intuition and self-belief? Obviously the latter. And then you can just move on from there. So what I say then is, okay, well, dude, can I share a perspective on that? Can I just be very, like, can I just give you a perspective that I wish I got when I was in your shoes, Christian?
Yeah, go for it, man. Definitely.
Dude, I was literally talking to Alex around this time of the year, a year ago, and I was having the exact same conversation. So contextualization, context, right? Make it easier for them to digest this big pill that you're going to throw at them to swallow. And dude, I get it. I have in your shoes. And this is what he asked me. You ready? He said this word for word. Can you see how the way of thinking, where you've allowed yourself to have the scarcity mindset, can't pay this, can't pay that because I have this due, I have that due, has put you in a position where you haven't invested into your skill set and you've been in the last 6 months in the same loop, not closing deals because you lack a skill set, like you mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
He's, yeah, dude. That's being real. And then he was like, yeah. And then he also, I think he said, yes. So looking back over the last 6 months, what have you lost because of not getting able to actually invest in your skill set because of this mindset? What have you lost?
What do you mean? What do you mean by what have I lost?
What have you missed out on in the last 6 months from not having the skill set to close deals because of the mindset that you have currently?
Oh, money. I'm not
Money.
making the money I want.
A lot? How much is a lot to you, bro?
I would say the average sales price here, the average commission is like 10 grand. So I've been probably losing in a month, probably 40, 50 grand.
A month?
Yeah.
6 months straight. So that's over $120,000.
Yeah.
I love how self-aware you're being, bro. Seriously. Like, props. I love it. This might sound obvious, but what happens if we keep allowing that way of thinking from stopping you from investing into your skill set? Like, what happens then?
Obvious question with an obvious answer. Nothing happens. We just continue to lose more deals, not know where to even start. And as a result, lose more money.
Yeah. So you just lay it all here, man. Like, how committed are you to actually adopting that mindset here? Becoming that guy, actually investing into your skill set, getting resourceful to get there. Because you don't have to.
No, man. I know I have to. It's gonna be tough. I'm not gonna lie. I have to.
Did you guys see how I delivered that? I delivered that with not intensity, but with grace. Because you had a feel for the man, right? Dude, he was probably in your shoes like a year ago. You'd probably be saying the same shit. So you got to just slow down, get your belief, understand the belief, shift their belief, just like we did for the money, and then incept their way of thinking, and then put it on them. And then hold them accountable to becoming the person or being committed to changing that person or that mindset. Is that helpful?
Very. No, I want to see an example with somebody giving pushback, just being like, no. But I still
Okay.
don't see. I can't see myself making an
And
investment.
that's gonna be Angie.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that, Angie? Okay, we're gonna do a whole thing, but you're gonna be like, you're not gonna be like, okay, yeah, sure, give me pushback, but don't be like an asshole. Because if you are, like, literally, if someone's like an asshole at this part of the call, I literally just like back up, and I'm like, dude, like, we can't do this. So be
Okay.
like that person who's like chatterbox, has a lot of excuses, such a limited mindset, like so small thinking that they just think of every excuse possible, and I just want you to think of every objection you can when I ask you what prevents you. Okay.
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 My
So,
best.
yeah, it's all good. Do your worst. Ready? Okay, so I guess what prevented you from, so let's say you said the same answers as Christian here. I'm not gonna redo this. But let's say, Angie, like what, and by the way, this is super helpful. Thank you. Like it's good to know what you've done in the past. But in the
Mhm.
last 6 months, considering you've been in this state where you haven't been closing deals and you really haven't been in a position to actually unlock that new level of commission every month and provide for your family, like what prevented you from stepping into a more advanced program and getting to that next level?
I guess I wouldn't necessarily say prevented me because in the last 6 months, I have been reading a lot of like books. I've been seeing a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that. In a way, like it has helped me. But I guess if I would have to like put a pin to that, would just really be where just, I guess, just having the guidance.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Like what prevented you from getting that guidance all this time?
I don't know. I guess just not really knowing like who to ask.
You haven't seen anybody in the last 6 months that's
Like
for coaching?
Like in like my area, no. Everyone's a little bit, I guess you can say like they gatekeep. But I've tried to like I said, I've been reading books and like watching YouTube videos and find that guidance like but I feel like I haven't really, I guess you can say, connected with anyone specifically to actually, what do you call it, take action on it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. I hear you. And I totally get like you've done books and stuff like that, but those are just free things, right? And the free things have gotten to you to where you are today. So considering that you've said like you've received all these opportunities and like you've saw people, but they gatekeep, just so I understand. Okay, so if we had to really get to the root of it, like what prevented you from actually jumping into a program, paying for it, and actually executing everything they say? But give me more bullshit. Just say something stupid.
I don't know. I guess just finding the right one.
Okay, that's a whole different word track. That's like a different sequence. When I say excuses, like I had to travel and I had to ask my mom, or like I had to ask my like husband, and then I had like I had all these appointments, like just a bunch of excuses.
Oh.
Finding the right one is not really an excuse. That's actually like a logistical concern. And that's a different way. That's like more this.
Okay, I got you. I guess just in the last 6 months, really, I had to move like different states. And then I also like my boyfriend proposed to me and we've been like planning like the wedding and stuff like that. So it's like just trying to figure that out as well as
Right.
what to do with
Right.
it. But really just that.
Yeah, I get you. I understand. Totally hear you. Let me ask you a question. Like, how important is it for you to like scare commissions past 20K a month, like you said?
Super important. I guess that's why I'm on this call, right?
100%, yeah. Yeah, that's good. You're in the right place. But can I share can I just share my thoughts with you?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the quote by Theodore Roosevelt, Men in the Arena? Have you heard of that one?
No. No.
Okay, it's all good. Can I share it to you?
Yeah.
So can't follow word for word. It's like a quote I learned in high school, but it still applies to like everyday life. It's about those who actually step into the fight versus those who justify why they aren't in the arena. When it comes to success, there's really two types of people. Okay. There's a person who sits on the sidelines. They watch others and use stories to justify never entering the arena themselves. Whatever those stories may be. Okay. Or whatever thing they say they can't do. Then there is a person who says, I'm going to step into that arena.
Okay.
All right. They know they might fall. They might fail. But they're willing to actually fight for what they want rather than just talking about it. Which one of those people do you feel is in a better position to get what they want, despite having millions of things to do and having loved ones they have to attend to and appointments they have to get to? Which one of those two people are in a better position to succeed?
Definitely the one who just steps into the arena.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, right? And you seem like a pretty self-aware person, right? So you can be real with me. What do you feel really stopped you with how important this is?
What do you mean?
Like with how important this all is, with being in the arena. What really stopped you from stepping into the arena?
Oh, like I said, just honestly, life, just moving states and whatnot. I'm now like,
Do you feel like the person in the arena has the same problems, same life, same reasons to not be in the arena? Why do they choose to be in the arena? Because they want to, or because they need to?
because I need to.
Yeah. So like, why? So with how important this is, like, what really stopped you from actually entering the arena and not being on the sidelines?
I guess
It can't be
just,
life. It can't be life.
yeah, I guess if I really had to like put something into like place, would really just be, and I understand that what you just said, they step into the arena knowing that they're going to fail and they might fall and stuff like that. I think that just that was my big issue.
Would you say it's fear? Would you say it's like lack of awareness, lack of guidance?
Yes, that's what I was gonna get to. Yeah.
Perfect.
Just not having somebody, I guess you can say pick me up after I did fall. You know what I mean? But I know I can do that myself.
Right. So pause role player. So now I have the belief. Now I have the thing, right? But I'm not just gonna go into inception. I could, but it's like, what am I incepting on? For fear? I could. Technically, I could be like, can you see other way of thinking where you've let other excuses get in the way and your fear hasn't stopped you from? I could, technically, but like I technically could, but I want to go a little further. Like I want to actually understand that belief a little bit. So I can even say, because she said two different things. She said fear, but also not being able to find the right person. So is it really fear? No, it's an excuse that has stopped her from finding the right person. So I can literally ask her, Angie, listen, we're literally onto something great here. Like we're onto something now. Okay. So do you see like where we're going with this? Right? Can I
Mhm.
ask you another question, a very deep personal question?
Yeah.
Now listen, I only want you to be honest with this question. I don't want you to try to sugarcoat it because my job isn't to help you make less money.
Okay.
I'm here to change your life, and that requires complete ownership and complete honesty. Promise?
Okay. Yes.
So with how important this is, what
Mhm.
stopped you from finding that person, getting resourceful? Like what stopped you from actually getting resourceful and finding that individual to help you not be scared?
Just if I'm being honest, I had a really, really close friend of mine who was in like a similar situation to me. And she took that leap of faith and like she went all in kind of thing. And the person who she went with just basically was just bullshit and it just didn't work out. And I was like really close to her. So I was very aware of what happened. So I guess for me, it's just in a way also like scared that that's going to happen to me. So instead, I just stick to online trying to like really find that person for me, if that makes sense.
Boom. This is pause role play. So now we have that thing that we can incept on. And here's how I incept that. But if I didn't incept, if I didn't ask her to be honest or ask her to, if I didn't go a level further, I would have just incepted on her fear, but not the belief. And her belief came from her friend who got fucked over. Right? So here's how I incept that. Okay, Angie, honestly, you're awesome. Okay. Thank you for being so self-aware. A lot of people come to these calls not showing their heart on their sleeves, but I just want to camaraderie you, whatever that word is. Camaraderie, I don't know the word. I want to just give you a pat on the back for just being very honest, okay?
Mhm.
So can I just share a very honest perspective with you?
Yeah.
because this is the exact same conversation I had with Alexis a year ago.
Okay.
Like, seriously. And this is exactly what he told me after I gave him what you just said to me.
Okay.
Can you see how this way of thinking, where you've allowed your friend's experience of the very poor one that she had? I'm very sorry to hear that she didn't have a good time with somebody else, but can you see how this way of thinking, where you've allowed that experience to shape a belief around you not being able to get resourceful and find the right person to make more money? Can you see how that way of thinking, like that experience with your friend, puts you in a position where you're currently struggling to close deals, cold call, handle objections, like you mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
I love it. I love how honest you're being. Because looking back over the last 6 months, what have you lost because of not getting the right information, because of fear of being scammed or fear of not getting the right information?
It's allowed me to miss out on a lot of deals, really, and grow to be that top agent in my brokerage.
More than at least 2 deals?
Oh, yeah.
More or less?
I would say like probably 3 or 4.
And how much is each deal worth?
In my area, it's like anywhere from 8 to 12.
1,000?
Yeah.
So you've missed out on at least 40 grand then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, give or take, depending.
Yeah, I hear you. So what happens if we just, I don't know, like what happens if we just end the call right now and like I just keep allowing you to have that way of thinking stop you from investing into your skill set? What happens then?
If you just let me go.
Let's just say we did nothing. Let's just say you never met me and like this mindset just stayed. What would happen to your life then?
One, I guess continue to miss out on $40,000 a month. And just, I would probably just go back to trying to find that person that I click with.
Yeah, I agree. It's, yeah. Okay. And this is honestly, before I wrap up this part, because I do want to get to more like tactical, like how we can help you. But before I even do that, like, how committed are you to actually adopting that mindset here? Like becoming that girl and actually investing into your skill set to get there? Because you don't have to.
I'm definitely very committed, but I think it also has a lot to do with what you're going to share with me later too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm having a great conversation with you and you've made me realize a lot, 100%. But it'll ultimately also come down with like how you guys can help me.
I agree. Which is why on this next part of the call, I want to ask you what you need. Because if you say, I want chicken, I don't want to serve you beef. But let's say we actually found a plan that worked and it made complete sense. Like, how committed are you to actually stepping into the shoes of Angie Rodas, who makes $40K a month and becomes that girl to invest in her skill set and get to that next level? Because again, you don't have to.
Yeah, super committed.
Okay, pause real quick. So you see how like I even went for the second one because she gave me like that, yeah, but, and I agreed with her. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, I'm not gonna give you nothing. And then I said, but let's say we found that. Would you be open? Would you be open to investing into yourself? Does that make sense, guys? Ariel,
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
helpful for you? Could you find a way to apply that in Dermis in some way?
Yeah, I feel like I could, while you were going through it, I was trying to think of how to apply it to service because, like, I know, like, a lot of the times it's just with the client retention, and people will tell you, like, when Jimmy does the setting calls, they'll say how much they were making, and they'll be at, let's say, 20K, and then now they're at, like, 15K a month, and they want to get back to that and more. So it's just trying to find a way to be able to make them realize, because a lot of the times with the people that hop on the call for Dermis is they just want to know what the membership is and if it will work if they implement it into their clinic, but because they just want client retention and money. But there's not a lot of like deep rooted things, like, or people just don't, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, I have to just find a way to apply it eventually.
What we can do is this. You, Jimmy, and Julianne, let's schedule a 3-way call or 4-way call. and we'll talk about that, and we'll also talk about your guys' pitch because I just finished it, or I'm gonna finish it tonight, and then we can talk about it.
Cool.
Schedule a meeting, so I'll send you guys my link, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Nah, listen, this is the holy grail of sales. If I didn't learn this skill, guys, 8 months ago, or actually, you know what? I learned this in March. Like, I learned this in March, and I've been applying that since. I've been closing before for the last 2 years, but take that in. I've been closing since all this time, and I never pre-handled objections. Shout out to Johnny Mao, because Johnny Mao, that I learned that from him, and I paid a lot of money for his program. That's like a very important lesson that I pray that you guys all apply. Setters, for you guys, like incepting someone's belief in the DMs or in the call will honestly increase show rate and increase the ability to close. Because if you're setting properly, they're showing up properly, that's how you double the business. And for closers, if you're not doing this before talking about the success phase, which we'll talk about on Friday, success phase is just breaking down each, like what they want, which is going to be another masterclass because it's going to be identifying the buying values, which is basically the thing that they want to buy from your program. Which actually, let me just show you a better diagram here. This is Johnny Mao's thing. So finding the buying values is basically identifying a few things of what they want versus how they want it. Sorry. It's identifying how they want it versus what they want. Versus, okay, sure, we're going to train you on how to close deals and make money in agency, or we're going to show you how to make a membership. We're going to show you how to retain clients, but how do you want us to show up for you? Do you prefer one-on-ones? Do you prefer that we just give you a course and a PDF and you can just go? Because that's also pre-handling objections too, if you think about it. Because if someone says, oh, I don't want one-on-ones, I just want a course, which happens actually like 1 out of 10 calls, that's an objection. What do you, okay, hold on, sorry. I'm asking this question just to understand so again, we'll talk about that on Friday. But was this session helpful? Is anybody confused out of their mind? Because
No.
I remember when I learned this, it took me almost 2 weeks to learn because no one explained it like this. It was just, here's the PDF, here's a 5-minute video, good luck. Do you guys have any feedback for the lesson? Good and bad feedback, just to make sure that I know I'm doing a good job here?
You framed the call very well.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go to sleep tonight. I'm gonna sleep like a baby. Okay, so for you guys in this call, I should see you guys all on Friday because we have success phase still to do. Then we have desired state, which is super important because you're actually finding the goal. Then we have reality check, which is super important because you're consequencing the goal. Then we're going to talk about what the hell? We're going to talk about committing phase. We're going to talk about pitch, objections, close. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more sessions until you guys are elite level closers. And then after those sessions, we're not really going to do those anymore. And it's just going to go back to Q&A, back to call reviews, back to role plays. But I've realized in the last first 2 weeks that everybody needed a little bit more love on the actual framework. And then we're going to repurpose this material and just make them modules for future purposes. But yeah, Christian's in Medellin. John, John's in Bogota right now. Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna be in Colombia in 3 weeks as well. And yeah, so do you guys have any other questions before we head out?
No questions. Very insightful. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Very
All
nice.
right, guys. See you later.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, guys.